Welcome back, ladies and gents. Today we are going to be talking about some monumental news that involves Chainlink and some of the largest, in fact, the largest financial institutions in the world, the likes of SWIFT and Euroclear, that are responsible for the vast majority of the global financial markets interactions, actual actions that are done on our financial markets. This is absolutely huge news, and it absolutely astounds me that there isn't as much hype around Chainlink as there is other cryptocurrency projects out there, because Chainlink is not just pivotal and monumental and foundational for our industry. In fact, it entirely enabled DeFi. I was somebody that took part back in the early days, or actually saw DeFi actually become a thing. Back in sort of the start of the last bull market. We hadn't even gone into the bull market of 2021, 2020 yet, when DeFi really sprung up and we had DeFi Summit. And Chainlink entirely enabled that, because blockchains have an inherent problem, and that is that they can't get off-chain data on-chain. And Chainlink came up with a way to do that in, of course, a decentralized fashion, very true to the ethos. So it's fundamental in regards to the cryptocurrency industry, but it's also fundamental in regards to how the cryptocurrency industry is going to interact with the world at large. And hopefully throughout this video we'll be showing that to you, and the fact that you can actually own a piece of this protocol, a protocol that I believe is going to play a pivotal role in the new financial system, the internet of value that we're moving towards, to me is very exciting, and my portfolio certainly reflects that. So what I want to do is just start off with some news that I actually covered earlier today in my daily market update. We mentioned it briefly, but there was not just one, but two pieces of gigantic news that actually came out of the Chainlink ecosystem. One is in regards to enabling with CCIP, their cross-chain communication protocol, private transactions, and the private transactions of private blockchains enabled by banks, and in this case it's the Australia and New Zealand banking group, which is the largest throughout that region. They're also working with monetary authorities over in Singapore to actually enable this. They actually have figured out how to keep privatization of transactions, and actually how they can use private blockchains to interact with public blockchains, which is where this kind of economy is going to spawn. But there was also news in regards to Chainlink, Euroclear, SWIFT, and 6 financial institutions that essentially announced their results of a new industry initiative that combines AI, oracles, and blockchain. This is on top of all the other announcements, partnerships, and proof of concepts that are currently going on between SWIFT. This one is Euroclear. Euroclear are the largest clearinghouse in the world, potentially. I'd say DTCC, which Chainlink is also working with, probably is larger, but Euroclear, certainly when it comes to the financial markets, is trillions and trillions of dollars we're talking about here. Yearly, potentially hundreds of trillions, along with SWIFT and all the 11,000 banks that are under them. So it really does amaze me. We will also be talking about Chainlink's price, which I think it just looks absolutely beautiful and sensational. We'll talk about that towards the end of the video. It really does amaze me that there's not enough hype around Chainlink. And in regards to its price, it's very much following a kind of S&P-like schematic or formula that ultimately, after this pullback, is likely going to see Chainlink go on a pretty monumental run. And people often get very frustrated. They hear about all these amazing partnerships. They hear about all of these kind of amazing things going on with ecosystems, and sometimes the price doesn't correlate to it, and that's because it's not being allowed to do so. There's a new global financial system coming. Crypto is going to be at the heart of it. We did an interesting video yesterday looking at Kwasi Kwarteng, who was the chancellor for a very short period in the UK. He got blamed for what happened with the gilt market, and of course Liz Truss, he was the chancellor under. I don't think it was them specifically. I think they probably had a role in it, but a very minor one, because we didn't just see the gilts market or the sovereign treasury markets collapse in the UK. We saw it in Europe, and we saw treasuries in the US also do a similar thing around the same time, Silicon Valley Bank and all this sort of stuff. So people often forget that. But what I want to do is really focus on some of this groundbreaking news, and it should cement kind of Chainlink's role in this new financial system that we're moving towards a lot more broadly. So this is from Chainlink. This broke at 5 a.m. my time, UK, so UK time, We're excited to announce CCIP private transactions, enabling financial institutions to connect private blockchains to multi-chain economies. Now, side note here, a lot of people actually think that Chainlink, they view Chainlink as almost an enemy, and are very kind of upset that Chainlink has the partnerships that it has, because they want their blockchains to have the partnerships that Chainlink has. However, Chainlink is not trying to be the global sort of monetary remittance market like the likes of XRP. It's not trying to do the tokenization of assets itself like the likes of HBAR or AVAX or some of these others. What it's essentially doing is trying to do a very similar thing to what it did with DeFi. It's trying to essentially connect one world, the outside world, with the blockchain space and allow the blockchain space to be used more broadly. And in doing so, connecting it and putting it all under one roof that financial institutions can actually gain access to. So Chainlink isn't just good for itself, it's good for the entire industry. And again, the fact that you can own a part of this ecosystem, a part of the token that is ultimately fundamental to Chainlink's operations, to me is exciting. Often value takes time to be realized. If you look at something like Amazon, we always use this analogy. It completely revolutionized and transformed commerce. On the back of a technology, Chainlink on the back of distributed ledgers, changed an entire industry. Chainlink is largely doing that with the help of the technology as a whole, some of the other public blockchains out there. It's really doing that as in regards to what is very commonly called the Internet of Value. Right now, we have the Internet of Information. We are communicating and sort of transmitting information freely. Value is on a similar trajectory, and that's not how the current value system of the world works. It's very cumbersome, very kind of archaic. Distributed ledgers are changing that from the ground up. So let us continue. Australia and New Zealand banking group, ANZ, which I believe is one of the largest in the world, will be amongst the first financial institutions to pilot the capabilities of cross-chain settlements of tokenized real-world assets, RWAs, under the Monetary Authority of Singapore Project Guardian initiative. Chainlink's new cross-chain privacy capabilities have the potential to further accelerate institutional blockchain adoption by enabling end-to-end privacy between blockchain networks, said Nigel Dodson, banking services lead at ANZ. So he's a top dog over at ANZ. Trillions of dollars in regards to what they actually enable. Through our ongoing collaboration with Chainlink Labs, we are looking forward to piloting CCIP and demonstrating how this long-standing privacy problem can be addressed. So with the cryptocurrency space at the moment, okay, there might not be an identity attached to addresses, which is something that they'll need to be in regards to it mirroring the traditional financial system that we have. You need to know who's sending what to who, because there's regulations and compliances to adhere to, and Chainlink can do that. What the problem then becomes is once you have that regulation in place, which we know is coming, how do you then stop everybody from knowing that I sent you some money and it was for this, or we did this, or this individual has done this? You need to be able to kind of, and ZKs are a common technology employed here, conceal that information in a way that it can actually be still viewed by the parties that are supposed to be viewing it from a regulatory point of view. They then go on to show, here's how it works. The new blockchain privacy manager enables private blockchains to integrate with the public Chainlink platform, while maintaining data confidentiality and supporting regulatory compliance. With this new capability, financial institutions can now leverage Chainlink to connect private blockchains to public chains, which is where I believe the majority of value is going to be held. Private chains, external data resources, and TradFi systems, while only revealing the on-chain information selected by the institution as being necessary to process each transaction. CCIP's private transaction builds upon this capability, incorporating a novel on-chain encryption protocol to enable confidential transfers between multiple private chains that keep transaction details entirely private. This is a major step. You can see here, they actually have a kind of, this shows you how it works. Bank A into the sender, into the value of data. It gets encrypted via Chainlink. blockchain privacy manager. Then you have your risk management network, CCIP combined DON, CCIP execution, the blockchain privacy manager, decrypt back into Bank B. So this is very, very interesting, very, very groundbreaking, very, very necessary. And again, just in my opinion, cements Chainlink's role as a key player in the Internet of Value that we are hurtling towards. Now, we didn't just have this news today. We also had this news yesterday. And this is in regards to Chainlink, Euroclear, Swift, and 6 financial institutions just announced the results of their new initiative that combines AI, oracles, and blockchains. The initiative successfully demonstrated how Chainlink's Oracle network can be combined with large language models, LLMs for short, to validate and deliver near real-time financial data across multiple blockchains. There's this crossover, ladies and gentlemen, with multiple of course, there always is, okay? For example, computers are one technology. There's a crossover with the internet. They combine to form a potentially entirely new industry of e-commerce or kind of network and things like this. It's very similar with blockchain and AI. There's a crossover with these two new technologies that ultimately build upon the prior technologies like computers and computing, because most of these blockchain networks need computing to actually operate, and they figured out how to incentivize decentralized computing systems to ultimately be put to good use. And ultimately, they use things like network, the internet, of course, and they build upon that and are creating this entirely new industry. And this is what we're seeing. We're seeing Chainlink at the kind of helm of it. The initiative, we've already read that. You can see these are the institutions that are involved. Overview: this initiative leverages cutting-edge AI models and institutional-grade Oracle infrastructure to create a unified golden records of corporate action data that works across multiple blockchains. The goal: evaluate the feasibility and industry value on AI, oracles, and blockchain-based solutions for corporate action data coordinated across diverse market participants and geographically different sets of input. And all of these large institutions, and we can see them listed here: Euroclear, Swift, Franklin Templeton, Wellington Management, UBS, Vontable, Signum, and Casius, along with the likes of Avalanche, which seems to be really chosen, ZK Sync, and Hyperledger Besu, are all essentially working on this to sort of create this new financial system, the new Internet of Value, if you will. Corporate action, e.g. mergers, dividends, stock splitting, etc., present one of the most complex and expensive unstructured data problems in finance. Initially presented in human-readable formats like PDFs and press releases, corporate action data passes through a multitude of intermediaries, with the final data emerging in varying formats and states. The result is a fragmented ecosystem characterized by poor data timelines, duplicative sources, and extensive data cleaning efforts. I want to add one more onto that. Also, a hackability to it. We see banks get hacked all the time, ladies and gentlemen. With smart contracts, you essentially can eradicate the tech stack that ultimately leads to hacks. It goes on to say the result is fragmented ecosystem characteristics by poor data timelines, duplicative, etc. We've already read that. There is no standard method by which corporate actions events are announced by issuers. This includes inconsistencies in structuring, format, terminology, timeline, medium, and data standards for dissemination. There is no single source of truth that maintains the state of corporative action in the place that is universally accepted. The process details and terminology are often highly specific to a particular market or financial instrument and not standardized industry-wide. Responsibilities for failure in the information flow cannot be passed on to direct sources of information, meaning the accuracy of information passed on is not guaranteed. The individual, this is Zach Ryans, who is the Chainlink guard. He then goes on to say, To address these challenges, Chainlink, along with 8 market participants and 3 blockchain ecosystems, established an industry initiative to validate a new novel architecture. Unstructured data about corporate action events taken from initial public statements were autonomously converted into structured, machine-readable, and easily distributable data. Using a consensus-based approach, Chainlink, a Chainlink Oracle network connected to multiple independent LLMs to reduce the risk of AI hallucination. Chainlink CCIP increased the accessibility of data by publishing the outputs onto various private public blockchains, while also synchronizing data across networks to maintain consistency. And you can see this is an example of exactly what was done here. It then goes on to say, in the next up-and-coming phase of the initiative, the goal is to integrate Swift's messaging to make on-chain validation data interoperable with and consumable by existing portfolio processing and management systems used by financial institutions. As a result, market participants would have access to accurate and real-time corporate action information via their existing systems, completing the end-to-end connectivity of corporate action, lifecycle, and management. And you can see this is it here. They then go on to name all the partners that were involved. And of course, this is the official publication, which we're going to leave a link to in the description if anybody is interested in checking that out. Very interesting. AVAX seems to be popping up all over the place. I know there's a lot of conspiracies going around about AVAX that we shan't get into. But very, very interesting and very global as well. You can see here, corporate action, fixed income. We've got UK, Ireland, France. You know, this is very much broad. And of course, Swift and Euroclear have a massive, massive jurisdiction. The last thing for me to do, it's kind of a bit of a sea of red out there, isn't it? And Chainlink's price is up 4% today. This is a great looking chart. In our market mastery course, we like to teach that markets move in 4 phases. This would be your phase 1. Your phase 2 is an uptrend. This is very much S&P-esque in regards to what we believe is to come. It's very common when you, what do we got here? Fetch AI. It's very common when you break out of a base, phase 1, you then greet it with a retest. And in my opinion, that's very much what Chainlink is doing. You can see the sort of base that you formed down here, the base that you formed here for the S&P. You get this breakout, retest, and then you get the continuation, which Chainlink is, in my opinion, on the cusp of. Not only have you found yourself at support, there's also a falling wedge in here that you've now broken out of, that we ultimately believe is going to lead to some pretty explosive upside. Right now, the cryptocurrency market really just suffers from being moved by social media hype and a very small number of actors. But we are moving towards a world where actually value is going to come from actual usage. We're not there yet. And Chainlink, I think, is going to be one of the most used distributed ledger projects that there is ever, because it's actually going to be used to enable a new financial system. So that's it from me, ladies and gents. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And on that note, I'll see you all in the next one. Have a fantastic Tuesday. Catch you in the next.